Well, good morning, Conversation Club. Good morning to you. It's yet another glorious Sunday morning in the year 2024. We are rounding up this month of November and it's moving so quickly. We'll be celebrating Thanksgiving in just a few days. But before then, we want to give thanks unto God for all that He has done, for all the things that He's doing, and for this opportunity to share with you. We want to always give honor to Bishop Maynard, Dr. Mary T, Pastor Jerry, for the opportunity to be in this setting and to have conversations with you. And as you know, I always want to say thank you to you because you make this moment, you make these conversations so enlightening and so impactful. People from around the country are reaching out to me and saying, oh my gosh, I'm enjoying just a dialogue that goes on. And it's because of people like you to make sure that we have a great time in our conversation. And we're planning on having the same thing today. This is going to be one of those topics that I know is going to take a little twist. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, what is she going to talk about when it says that he that finds the wife finds the good thing? And I want to tell you, we're probably going to take a different spin to it. So just hang in with us. And I do want to hear from you because I really want to engage you in this. And so I've been dealing with social norms this month, and really just talking about some of the things that we have subscribed to that stem from the Bible and how they actually are impacting or how they reflect in today's society. Years ago, when you talked about he that findeth a wife finds a good thing and find the favor, and that's in the Bible. And I truly believe that because first of all, it's in the Word of God, and I found it to be true. So that he that findeth a wife finds a good thing, and when you do find a wife as a man, you find favor. There's extra favor that goes along with you. Doesn't mean that men that are single don't have favor, but there's something that's added to what you have that and it's an added layer of favor. Can I say it that way? There's an added layer of favor. And so we want to dive into this scripture and really unpack it. And then how does it reflect in today's society? And is there anything that we can learn from this? And is there anything that we may need to modify how we approach it? And so that's what we're going to do today. But before we get started and going into Genesis 24, we're going to look at some scriptures there. I just want to give some shout outs to Marietta Fondry. Hey, Betty Patrick, to Jacqueline Head, Deborah Derrickson, Dr. Perry, Terry Nelson, Constance Boards. You all have put in the chat good morning. For those who are out there, because I see you popping in here, hey, just go ahead and give me a shout out so I know that you are in the house, you're in the room, and you're hanging out with us. Okay, so let's go to Genesis 24, and I just want to read this. There was a lot of scripture, and so I didn't. Hey, Marsha Mackey, how are you? I just didn't want to couldn't put all the scriptures there. I could have, but it would have taken a long time. So it says, and Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So he was blessed. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant, this is key. He said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among them I dwell. This is key. Okay, so that's where I'm reading this. But thou shalt go unto my country, where I came from, and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest? And Abraham said unto him, beware that thou bring not my son thither again. So I want to pause right there. Okay, so I'm setting this up. Hey, Diane Bonner, I'm glad she's on here because I'm going to be referencing Diane Bonner. So, okay, so I just wanted to share this with you. This is Genesis 24. I read the first 6 verses so far. Okay, so Abraham is older. He's older. And he realizes that he has a lot of property. He has a lot of value. He's acquired a lot of resources. So Abraham is sitting well. Hey, Deborah Long and Letty Giles, my godmother. Okay, so he has a lot that he has acquired down through the years. And so he says to his servant, the one he's trusted, who has ruled over everything, it's a trusted source. I need you to take this in, a trusted source. He tells them, see, this is just in their fashion. This is just in their tradition. Put your hand on my thigh. That's how they swore. So, now we just say, swear. Yeah, we do pinky swears and everything like that. So don't get caught up in that part. So he says, put your hand on my thigh and swear to me that you'll go, first of all, that you won't take a wife until my son Isaac has the opportunity to take a wife and bear children to keep the legacy going. So this is key. All right. So when you talk about he that finds the wife finds a good thing, you've got to, men, when you're looking for wives, women, when we're teaching our children, men and women, parents, when you're teaching your children, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you need to share with them that when you're looking for someone, you need to look at your legacy, and you want to make sure that you are pairing yourself with someone who can keep the legacy going. All of us have a legacy. It doesn't matter what resources you may have or what you've acquired. We all have some type of legacy. Okay, so that's number one. You have to understand that. And when you're bringing somebody into your house, into your family, you want that person to be able to understand your legacy. Now, some people have acquired more, some people have acquired less, but it doesn't matter because it's valuable to you. Can I get an amen on that one? I don't care if I have an apartment or if I have a house. I don't care if I drive a Honda or if I drive a Maserati. It's still valuable to me. And so anybody that's coming into my family, I want to make sure that they appreciate, the values that God, listen to this, that God has blessed me with. And that's the same thing that we have to approach it. So that's what Abraham said to his servant. And then the servant said, if I go there and the woman doesn't follow me, if she's not aligned with where I'm going, then Abraham said, don't go back again. Now I'm gonna say that again. Woo, if it don't work out in that country that I'm sending you to, don't go back to the country again. It's amazing to me how people, when they're dating, they'll date in the same pool. Listen, if it didn't work out there, he said, don't go back again. Now, nowadays, let me just tell you what they say nowadays. It's come 2024. Yeah, when folks be circling the block again, don't go back. That's what Abraham said. Don't go back. Don't circle. You ain't got to keep, circling the block. Just don't go back. Now that's powerful because some people circle the block. Okay, let's try this again. I'm learning these lessons. Don't go back. Woo, that was powerful right there. Okay, so here's where I want to point this at. It is said, especially in Christendom, and that's why I want to go here, especially in church. And then let me just drill it down, especially in the Black church. People frown on people utilizing dating apps, utilizing matchmakers, utilizing situations like that, going on social events in order to find the wife or to find, your mate. Okay, so that's what I'm putting on there. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts before I go any further? What are your thoughts on dating apps, matchmaking, and social events? Dating apps, matchmaking, and social events. Some people have gone as far to say it's a sin. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I just don't think it's a sin. But I have my own thoughts on that. So I want to hear your thoughts on how do you feel about Christians using dating apps, matchmaking, and social events to connect or to find their wife? Good morning, Yvette Jones. That's my friend. So I want to get your opinion on that. So I want to get your opinion on that, because then we're gonna continue in the conversation. And this is why it's important, because we're living in a time now where our next generation, they're on Tinder, they're on Bumble, they're on I can't even think of anything else, because those are the only things I've heard. What's that the big one a lot of people get on, and a lot of people have found their mates on there. But anyway, they go to these dating sites to find, their mates, and some people have been successful, some people have not, but there's been a lot of people who've been successful. Some people have gone to matchmaking events, or they'll go to those speed dating. I've heard of that before. So what are your thoughts? Okay, Terry Nelson said it's not a sin. I just don't agree with it. Okay, I just don't agree with it. Terry, can you just expound just a little bit more on that and tell me why you don't agree with it, if you don't mind if it's not too intrusive. Good morning, Forrestine Richmond. If it's not too intrusive. So if you can put down if you agree or don't agree with it, and then why. If you could add that why to it. So if you agree with it or don't agree with dating apps, matchmaking, social events. Okay, Diane Bonner said use them. Okay. And then Diane, why? Why would you say go ahead and use them? How are you feeling about that? Because I like I said, I got my own thoughts on it, and I'm gonna unpack it just a little bit more as we continue to go on. So I like that. So I got someone that says no, don't agree with them. I got another person that says use them. She doesn't use them, but use them. So I like that. I like the fact that we have one from each side. This is cool. This is good. This is good. This is good. We're getting somewhere here. Okay. So here we have these dating apps. Some people agree with them. Some people don't. Marsha said, I have two friends that found their husbands on those apps, and I just don't think it would be for me. I like that. Okay. So you have some success stories, but maybe just not for you. Said I would agree if I have friends that are single and saved and they are using them. I like that. Okay. And so I do know sometimes even the people said don't use the apps because they were scary. You don't know who you're going to meet. You have to make sure that you do your due diligence in vetting the person before connecting with them. So there's some things like that. But isn't it true that you have to do that anywhere? I mean, like if you meet somebody at church, don't you need to do your due diligence and sitting with them and vetting them and making sure, that who that person is before you even go out with them? I think you should have conversations with them on the phone, kind of, really talk to them. And so we had a boundaries class, and Diane Bonner said this in the class. And I knew I was going to say this, so I'm glad she's on here. She said, when you're in conversations with that person, before you even take it to the next level, she said, you need to find out how they, how were they in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, in college. You need to ask some questions, how they operated back then. Did they play well in the sandbox? How were they on the recess grounds? Did they, were they a team player, or were they the bully, or were they bullied? So she said that in our class, and it hit home. It was so profound in that moment. But I thought I'd pull it back out to say that it is up to us to do our due diligence in ensuring that the individual that we are connecting with, that they have those, and I'm going to give these 3 points in just 1 second, that we connect with them. Okay, so Terry says, I guess I'm old school and I was taught not to go after a man. The man is to come for me. Okay, I like that. I like that, Terry. This is good. We're going somewhere. Okay, so Diane says, I do have a friend that found their spouse on one, and they were not available when I was single. Okay, I like that. Okay, so Terry brought up something. This is what I wanted to deal with, because many of us were taught, he that findeth a wife finds a good thing and finds favor. And so we were taught that as being literal, like the man was supposed to come and find you. Like if you in the grocery store, he tap you on the shoulder and say, oh my gosh, you're my wife. And that was the finding. Now, I'm not against that. Okay, so that's how it happened. I love it. But I'm trying to find out what y'all gonna do with Abraham. Isaac didn't go find his wife. What y'all gonna do with that? Because all of these things that we learn stem from the Torah, or stem from the Jewish tradition, which Abraham was the first Jew, because Jewish is a religion, and how they knew they were Jews is by circumcising them. So Abraham was the father of this, right? Okay, so Abraham sent his servant to find Isaac's wife. Isaac didn't go find, I'm gonna say it again. Isaac didn't go find his wife. He didn't find Rebecca. His servant found Rebecca, because Abraham, the father, sent his servant to find the wife for his son. He used a source or a resource to find the perfect person for his son. And I want to say that to you, that sometimes we do get caught up in some of those things where we find ourselves where we don't, want, we talk about these apps because we just don't know about them, right? We don't know. It wasn't around when we were younger. it wasn't well received. But now this is the way some people are going. So let's be very cautious. Let's be very cautious when we judge something that we don't know, right? So if you don't do it, that's fine. I like the way Diane said it. I don't use it. However, someone else may have a better outcome with it. So I'm not going to judge it. That's the real, oh, I'm putting it out there. I'm not going to judge anybody that uses this format to find, or this app to find somebody. I still think that the man makes the decision if you're his wife. I do believe that. I think the man needs to make the decision that you're his wife. I haven't graduated to women asking men to marry them. I haven't graduated there yet, but I do believe that the man should be the person that says, hey, can we get married? Okay, so let me see. Mary said, I was taught to be a peach out of reach, meaning don't you go out there looking, but be found doing the work of the Lord. Okay. To increase your opportunity to be seen and found. Right. I like it, Diane. It increases your opportunity to be found. So if you think about it that way, it increases your opportunity to be found. You're not out there trying to find the man. You're not out there trying to find the husband. You're putting yourself in a position to be found. Now, I know somebody says they sitting at home and somebody rang the doorbell and all of a sudden you got married. I don't know. I don't even know about that. So I don't know. I can't even judge it because I don't know. If it happens that way, wonderful. But hey, to each his own. So let's see. Terry said that was their tradition at their time. That's right. That was their tradition at that time, where you send someone out to find it. And the reason for it is because Abraham was, first of all, Abraham was older. He needed someone who understood his legacy and his resources and what he had acquired. And sometimes young people, can I say this to you? Young people don't understand the value of what they have at home. And so if Isaac went out there and found somebody, he may have found someone that did not fit the mold of what he needed. So let's pick this up. I want to give you three things. I want to give you three things that I want you to consider. Three things I want you to consider. The first thing that I want you to consider is I want you to consider shared beliefs. Shared beliefs. Shared beliefs. I need you to understand this. I typed that incorrectly, but shared beliefs. Shared beliefs. You need to understand shared beliefs. It's important that we know about shared beliefs. You have to know about your shared beliefs. Why is that important? Because with the shared beliefs, you need to be able to, you need to understand, how do I believe? And I'm not talking about just religion. I'm not just dealing with your religion, but I'm actually dealing with what do you believe? What do you believe the roles and responsibilities of the spouses are? Okay, that needs to be a part of your conversation from the onset. Okay, and when you start talking about getting ready to get married, you need to have that conversation. You don't have to be so direct, but like, okay, what do you believe the woman should be doing? What do you believe the man should be doing? But in your dialogue, you can ask those questions about, how you were raised, where's your mom? Are they still, parents still married? Oh, did your mom do a lot of cooking in the house? And if that person says, my father worked and came home and my mother stayed at home and cooked, more than likely that perspective or that way of living is going to resonate. It's going to be inside of that individual, be it male or female. And so even though they may say, I don't agree with it, or I'm open, it's still something that they were exposed to. Can I say that to you? That exposure is going to make sure it's in them. When we expose ourselves to the sun, vitamin D just automatically comes. We don't have to ask vitamin D to come in us. Being outside exposed to the sun allows for us to obtain vitamin D. The same thing when you are exposed to a certain lifestyle, life choices, it's going to be in you. All right. Do you go to church? Do you believe in going to church? Do you believe in tithing? Do you believe in giving offering? Do you believe in going to church all the time? Do you believe in, different things? These are conversations that need to be had. So that shared beliefs is so key. So key. Shared beliefs. Do you believe? How do you believe? Do they believe nowadays? we used to have just monotheism where you just believed in that one God. We say the true and living God. But nowadays, when you talk to young people, they'll talk about the higher power. You need to ask those questions. When you say higher power, what power are you talking about? You're talking about God? Are you talking about spiritualism? You have to ask these questions because shared beliefs are key. That's why Abraham sent his servant back to his country. Why? Because Abraham believed a certain way, and he wanted to make sure that when his servant chose the wife for his son Isaac, that he was pulling from somebody who had shared beliefs. Here's a second thing that I want to leave with you here, and that is I need you to understand shared values. Shared values. It's important that we have shared values. Why is that important? Shared values, because again, legacy, what you've acquired. I have a friend who grew up in her great grandparents owned houses and land, and so they passed it down to her grandparents, and then passed it down to her parents, and so then she was in line to receive. She married someone who was, whose parents had owned their own home and land, but grandparents didn't. Okay, so the exposure was a little limited. Not that they weren't exposed, but it was limited. So how they approached that value system was different. Now she was willing to share and teach, and he was willing to learn a little bit more. But they were talking about stocks and options and being landlord and what to do with disposable income. But if you've never been exposed to that, if you've never had a checking account that has more than $100 in it, or a savings account with more than $100 in it, and you marry somebody that's used to keeping $100,000 in their savings account, or they have multiple accounts, or they have diversified income, and they have portfolios, it's a different approach. And so you have to think about the value system. Some people value money more than they do anything else. And so, you start playing with their money, they get, they be ready to fight you. Playing with my money. My father likes cars. And so if you ever get in the car with him and you accidentally slam his door, you gonna hear it. Don't slam my doors, So that was always a big thing around the house. We used to laugh about that. Don't slam my doors, because he does like cars. I mean, that's just something everybody knows. So you need to understand the value system. What does that person value? Do they value life? Do they value someone else's life? Do they value relationships? Do they value family? If you're a family person and you want the family to come over, everybody has a key to your house and they can come in and out, go as they please. You may connect with somebody who doesn't believe in that. They don't value, wait, no. We don't just hand out keys. They got to come and knock on the door and ring the doorbell. And so those things will then cause conflict in your relationship. And here's the last one that I really want to just drive home, that I think that we don't really handle well, and we really don't talk about that a lot, and that is shared language. Why is this important? Communication is one of the number one factors that causes divorce in marriages, and that's ineffective or the lack of effective communication. And so shared language is so key. And what do you mean by that? When you're talking, are you talking the same language? What does that mean, Misha? That doesn't mean you have English and they speak in Spanish. What I'm talking to you about is when you're speaking to them and they're talking to me at an impoverished level, and you're talking at a prosperity level. Your language is a language of faith. Your language is a language of optimism. Your language is a language of someone who believes that all things are possible. And they're talking in the language of everything is doom and gloom, or they're talking there in the language of we can't. And you're saying we can. And that is going to show up. That's going to show up, and it's going to cause conflict. It's going to cause an issue at some point in time. I guarantee you that. So it's important that you understand the same language. That's the reason why Abraham had to go back. He had told his servant, back to my country, because they understand by language. Now, if these three things are not there on the onset, it's okay, because we need to be in a position to learn. Okay, if you're in a position to learn, I'll learn your belief system. Yes, I'm open. just like we could talk about Naomi and Ruth. And so Ruth said, I want to serve your God. She didn't believe in serving her God. She said, but I'm open to serving your God. You could be open to serving that up to your husband or you could be open to that, so that you can have shared beliefs. You can be open to that. I would love to learn. So you can be open to that. And then the shared value system, you can learn, that value system. And so if you're willing to teach it and they're willing to learn. The same thing with language. You can, if they're willing to teach you and you're willing to learn, you can work through these things. But it's so key that you fixate on these things on the onset. In your dialogue, come back in here, Diane, and again, and says, you need to find out where they were exposed to from their life choices, from the time they were in elementary, junior high, high school, and college and on. So some of us are, we've been married before. And so getting married again, you're coming in even with extra layers of values and language and beliefs. Maybe they started off a certain way when they were younger. And now that they're older, they picked up some other, people's beliefs and some other things that they have learned and some things that they thought were, they were against, and now they're for it. So you need to be true to yourself. You need to understand for yourself, what are your values? What are your beliefs? What type of language do you speak? And then you need to be willing to then connect with somebody that's there. He that findeth a wife finds a good thing. And if you find it through the app, if he finds you in the app, if he finds you in the grocery store, if he finds you at church, if he finds you at your house when he knocks on the door, but he that findeth, I think that you need to be in a position to be found if you're wanting to get married. And then men, when you are seeking someone to marry, that's something that you need to look at. Where are you going to find them? That person needs to be able to be exposed to your value system, your belief system, and your language. It is so important. I'm not going to be talking Chinese and you talking Japanese. It's just not going to work. It may come from the same country area or same part of the planet of this earth, but doesn't mean that we're connecting, because you can miss something. You can hear something that you didn't, that you misinterpret because you don't know the language. And this is so, so key. So I want you to hold on to this. Shared values, shared belief, and shared languages. And really, honestly, this just crosses over to any relationship. I just happened to pick it up here because I wanted to talk about this app situation. So thank you all so much for engaging. Oh my gosh, engaging me in this dialogue. This was awesome to me. I hope you share this with other people, especially for our next generation, so they can really understand how to have a successful relationships. And that could be on your job and in platonic relationships or romantic relationships or just family relationships. It's important that we do gravitate to this, to understand that we need to have shared values, shared beliefs, and shared languages. It will help us go further in our life. Let me see. Yvette said, this is very important in a relationship. We have to be on the same page from the beginning. No matter how fine he or she may be, we need to speak the same language, or at least be willing to work on what will work for us. I love it, Yvette. Thank you so much for popping that in there. Listen, I ask you to hang out here with us as we go into the next service. And we have 1 hour of power at our Nashville campus. 1 hour of power starting off at 7:45. You can catch it on these social ministry platforms, or you can catch it in person. Let's get to the house. And then at 10 a.m. worship experience at Cathedral of Praise in the Nashville area. Again, in person. If you can't make it, catch us on our social ministry platforms. And then at our new highway location at 10 a.m., you can catch us in person, or you can catch us on our social ministry platforms. Join in. And I do want to say something right there. We want to continue to pray for the family of Evangelist or Lady Dorothy Carroll. Unfortunately, she transitioned earlier last week on Monday, and the funeral services will be on November the 23rd. The viewing from 12 to 1, and the services at 1 p.m. at Jubilee Church of God in Christ on Stage Road in Memphis, Tennessee. We want to continue to pray for her, pray for her family. Lady Carol was one who watched our Say at 7 a.m. She participated greatly in this space. She was the pastor's wife at New Highway, And when her husband, Pastor Carol, passed away, she stayed and she was instrumental in keeping that church together. Bishop Maynard spoke highly of her on yesterday, and he called her a friend. So someone who he could talk to and gain, advice from, and he could share with. So we just want to continue to lift them up and pray for the church family as well. This is the second loss in just a couple of years. And so we want to pray for them. We want to pray for that family, and we want to pray for the church family. We want to continue to lift them up. We want to continue to pray for all those who are in bereaved. Please keep my family in prayer. Our Uncle Clarence, he's 90 something years old. Pray for my auntie, Aunt Darlene. She comes down all the time with my cousin. So her husband's the one to transition. So pray for our family as well. And let's pray for Elder Tally. His father's in the hospital. And let's pray for Sister Anita Buchanan, who comes on here quite often. And she's in the hospital. She has been moved from her ICU to therapy. So that's a good thing that she's moving forward, making progress. So we want to continue to lift them up in prayer. Pray for Deacon Thomas, who was rushed to Vanderbilt. He's having some breathing issues. So let's continue to pray for the saints, everybody. And then check on each other. Do your due diligence to check on each other. It's so important. And just continue to be a blessing. Remember this, that your voice is powerful and your voice is valuable. So go out and speak life. We need it. We need it in today's society. So speak life everywhere that you go. And I know that God will do just what he needs to do, and his will be done. God bless you, and thank you again for the conversation. Have a good one. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.